Hello and welcome to Jacket Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Tyler Zeman, and we have a loaded episode for you this week. A lot happened in Waynesburg athletics over this past week. I will be joined by Logan Lepiscopo, Joe Veneziale, and Meg Berry to break down the baseball team's week, the softball team, and the men's and women's track and field event that happened this past weekend. So sit back and relax because you're watching Jacket Sports Weekly.
Now swinging back to Wilt. Wilt inside. Hop step, kick out to Scheidt. Scheidt, corner, knots, 3-ball. Got it! We're all tied up! 64-64. 1:12 left to play.
He's going to have to chuck up a shot soon, too, and the shot clock ball is around. There's Jake Scheidt, and here comes Jake Scheidt and Baker. Scheidt, the long to Baker, slaps it home! Anton Baker!
We are back here on Jacket Sports Weekly, and myself, and I, Tyler Zeman, will break down this past week in Waynesburg athletics. We'll start with the baseball team. They went 1-3 in the past week. They split a doubleheader against Wilson at home, and then they lost both games in a doubleheader to Wittenberg. They lost 9-2 in the first one, and then 17-2 in the second game. Not the best showing from the team, but the bats, although the scorelines don't really say it, they did have some pop in them. Seth Bergdolt had a home run. Todd Berner had a home run in the games versus Wittenberg. And Nolan Vertulo, he went 3 for 5 at the plate across the series. And Marcos Mendez, who went 2-3 at the plate in Game 2, had a very impressive performance. And then obviously Seth Bergdolt went 1 for 2 in Game 1 with a home run and 2 RBIs. He also was able to scratch a run across the plate in that one. But for the pitching, it was, again, not the best showing for them as they try to find the proper rotation this season. Gavin Pratt lost Game 1. He gave up 4 runs in the first inning. And then Zach Scabelli lost Game 2. And the reason for these large losses in the game versus Wittenberg was partially because of the explosive innings that the Wittenberg bats had. In Game 1, Waynesburg gave up 4 runs in the bottom of the first, and then in Game 2, they gave up 3 in the fourth, 5 in the fifth, and then 7 in the sixth inning. So definitely something that Waynesburg will try to mellow teams out going forward, not allowing so many runs. They do have a quick turnaround, though, to forget about the past week. They were supposed to play their first PAC game last Saturday. However, it was postponed. So as of this recording, they are playing St. Vincent in a doubleheader at home, with the first game starting at 1 and the second game starting immediately after that. They then have Chatham on Tuesday at home, again 1 and then 3:30 first pitch in the doubleheader. And then they play Franciscan this Saturday at 1 and 3:30 on the road for that one. Both Chatham and Franciscan are teams projected to finish below Waynesburg in the preseason polls. Waynesburg projected to finish 8th, so we'll see if Waynesburg can be competitive and maybe grab a few wins from both of those double headers. As for softball, they had an opposite week from baseball. They went 3-1. They split a doubleheader versus La Roche at home earlier in the week, and then at Teal over this past weekend, they went 2-0, getting the job done in their return to PAC play after they won the PAC championship last season. They beat Teal 7-0 and then 11-4. Sydney Wilson got both wins, and she looked incredible in both of those. Pitched the first inning, had 7 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, gave up 0 runs, and only walked 4 batters. And then she came in Game 2, pitched 3 2/3 innings, had 3 strikeouts, walked 1 batter, and then obviously gave up 1 run. Stempel, who started Game 2, didn't have the best performance. She gave up 3 runs in that one. She pitched 3 1/3 and had 3 strikeouts, but she did walk 4 batters. Semple, one of the pitchers that looked very good down in Myrtle Beach. She's kind of cooled off, though, but Sydney Wilson came in and saved the day, but they also got a ton of help from the bats. Ella Brookman went 4 for 4 in Game 1. She had 3 RBIs. She went 6 and 8 throughout the entire series at Teal and recorded 4 RBIs in that one. Dylan Roberts had an amazing game in Game 1, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Grace Higgins also had a great game, 2 for 3 with an RBI, and then Trimble, who went 2 for 4 and an RBI in Game 1 as well to cap off the 7-0 shutout. And then Jasmine Damaski went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs in Game 2 to help lead the Jackets in a comeback. They were down in that one, but again, they were able to pull through, and they put up 11 runs in that momentum swing. They do play Pitt Greensburg this Wednesday at 3-5 at home here in Waynesburg, and then they have Chatham at home on Thursday before Mount Aloysius, another non-conference doubleheader on Sunday at 2 and then 4 o'clock. We'll move over to the track and field team now. 21 personal bests at this past event at Bethany. It was at West Liberty, though, but Bethany was the team that hosted it. Throwing-wise, Catherine Henderson, again, did a spectacular job picking up where she left off in the indoor season, as well as Meg Berry, who placed first in the javelin throwing. She threw for 34 meters in that one. She ended up getting first place as well. On the men's side, they finished 8 out of 14 teams, and it was a 4x1 that placed second. It was a little bit of a shuffled 4x1 than what we're used to seeing, but they were still able to place high in that one, as well as Andrew Casper, who placed second in the 5,000 meters. Big things for them ahead of their weekend event up in Slippery Rock, looking to potentially continue this personal best streak and add some more to their list. In other Waynesburg athletics, off of the big 3 that we will cover in this episode, we have women's lacrosse, who won on Saturday versus Spalding. They won 19-2. It set a program record for largest margin of victory and the most team assists in one game. They outshot Spalding 39-9. Tori Michael John had 7 goals and an assist. Eva O'Sullivan had 4 goals and an assist. Rachel Caldwell had 2 goals and 3 assists, and then Sam Ernst had 2 goals and an assist, the leading offensive players in that one for the lacrosse team. Their next game will be this Tuesday at Chatham at 7 p.m. start time. The golf team, the women's golf team, finished 3rd out of 3 teams at the Franciscan Invitational at the Steubenville Country Club this weekend. Their next event will be at the Grove City Invitational this Saturday. And then men's tennis, who started the spring season this past Saturday, they lost 8-1 at Mount Aloysius. The one win coming from Justin North and Mike Saliba, who won their doubles match 8-4. They again play this Tuesday versus Allegheny. That'll do it for our breakdown of athletics this past weekend. When we come back, I will be joined by Logan Lepiscopo, who will talk about the baseball team. We're back here on Jacket Sports Weekly to talk about baseball, and join the talk about the baseball team is Logan Lepiscopo. Now, Logan, it wasn't really the week that they wanted last week. Went 1-3. They split a doubleheader versus Wilson, and then went 0-2 against Wittenberg. They're 4-10 on the season. Not the start they really wanted.
Yeah, absolutely not. Obviously, coming into the season, they were ranked low in the polls, so you want to look to try and improve off of that, prove the coaches that voted that they're wrong about your team. But I think the problem so far for this Waynesburg team has been the fact that there's no true ace pitcher anymore in the bullpen. Obviously, Joe Sablak, Corey Fisher, both leaving after that past season. So I think Waynesburg's still trying to figure out exactly who is going to be that next ace pitcher and what guys they can kind of start getting a rotation in for.
Yeah, Gavin Pratt, he lost the first game against Wittenberg, gave up 4 runs in the first inning. He had 2 strikeouts, walked 2 guys, and then, of course, gave up the 4 earned runs in his start there. And then the second game, Zach Scabelli also got the loss in that one. But it's really just the innings where Waynesburg's defense just kind of gives up a little bit. In game 1 of that Wittenberg series, they gave up 4 runs in the bottom of the first to go behind early. And then in game 2, they gave up 5 in the 4th, 7 in the 5th, and then in the 6th, they gave up another 5, I believe. So just talk about maybe what's one way they can maybe avoid giving up so many runs in those innings.
Yeah, so the first game and second game of that Wittenberg doubleheader was kind of 2 different stories. In the first game, 2-9 loss, 7 runs is definitely a big loss margin there for Waynesburg. But between the pitchers, they only allowed 7 hits. It's the walks and the hit batters that killed them. 10 walks and 2 batters hit in this game. Obviously, you're not going to win games like that. Matthew Cortegaskill had 7 walks and 2 innings pitched. So just letting those free runners get on the base is kind of a spot right there where Waynesburg needs to work on and not allowing those big run innings. You look at game number 2, Waynesburg used 5 different pitchers, but this game, instead of allowing 7 hits, they allowed 22 hits on 39 at-bats. So it's kind of 2 different games in terms of pitching and 2 different reasons why the runs were piled up against Waynesburg.
Yeah, so the defense hasn't been too great and the pitching, but the bats have shown a little bit of pop in them. Obviously, the 9-2 loss to Wittenberg in the first game and then 17-2 in the second game doesn't really, speak to volumes, I think, of how good the bats can be. When you look at it, Nolan Vertulo, he went 3 for 5 at the plate in that series. Marco Mendez went 2 for 3 in game 2 in that series, and then obviously Seth Bergdolt, who went 1-2 in game 1. He had a home run, 2 RBIs as well. Just talk about the bats and maybe the confidence that they can help bring to a defense that's been shaky to start.
Yeah, it's always good when you can get the bats rolling, obviously. Once you get the bats rolling, you can start getting runs up on the board. That's exactly what you want. But in the games, it just varies in who's able to get the bats to start going and if they can get them going at all. You look at Wilson College's games, you had Mike Bell, who batted tremendously in the first game, going 3 for 4, and his second game didn't live up to that same performance. You look at Wittenberg's games, you had Seth Bergdahl, obviously 2-run shot, and then you have in the second game, Todd Berner had a solo shot in the second inning. So there's different guys that have all proven they can hit the baseball and they can hit it pretty well. So if Waynesburg can start being consistent with that and add on a consistent pitching rotation, Waynesburg's team could be very dangerous in terms of conference play.
Yeah, and conference play is right around the corner. This past Saturday, they were supposed to start that with St. Vincent, but it got postponed and moved to Monday. They're currently playing that doubleheader at the time of recording this episode. But then they have Chatham in a doubleheader at home on Tuesday, and then they have Franciscan this Saturday in a doubleheader as well. Chatham and Franciscan, both 2 teams that are projected to finish below Waynesburg in the PAC preseason rankings. So maybe a bit of turnaround can happen for the Jackets, but how do you see them faring in conference play?
Yeah, when you look at conference play, obviously, like we mentioned before, 8th in the preseason poll. So the team obviously not looked that highly upon when it comes to other coaches and whoever else is voting among these polls. But going in and being able to beat teams that were previously ranked below them in those polls is going to show if Waynesburg can somehow turn the season around. Not the start they wanted, absolutely not. But if you can get those doubleheader wins in conference play, that'll be absolutely huge, especially early in the season. Grabbing those games early and being able to kind of move up the standings early on in the season, though they will shift. Obviously, things will change, but getting up there early will show other teams in the conference like, hey, we can compete. We can be competitors in the PAC, and maybe the coaches did get it wrong with putting them 8th in the preseason polls.
Yeah, we saw it last year with the softball rankings. Waynesburg softball not ranked towards the top and then ended up winning the PAC championship. So for you, Logan, what's maybe one key thing that they need to do in order to show that they're a threat to these heavy hitters in the PAC?
I think it's pretty plain and simple. I know I sound like a broken record, Tyler, but once you get a pitching rotation going, Waynesburg is going to be a very scary team. If you look at the statistics among PAC teams, they're second worst team in ERA, allowing over 8 runs a game. They look at having the most earned runs among all teams in the conference, and also they allow the highest opposing batting average of a .336. You're not going to win games when your pitching rotation is allowing the opponent to have such great batting performances. So if Waynesburg can figure out a rotation, find out who's going to be that next star pitcher like Joe Sablak, like Corey Fisher were last year. Obviously still wasn't a great year last year, but if they can find guys that can do that for them, I expect Waynesburg to pick up play and play pretty well in the conference.
Yeah, again, like you said, lost a lot of upperclassmen last year, so they are a younger team. But again, hasn't been the start that they've wanted. But they have a lot of games to be played this week. Like I said, St. Vincent on Monday, Chatham on Tuesday, and then Franciscan on Saturday. All games that the Jackets should be competitive in. Thank you, Logan, again, for breaking down Waynesburg baseball with us here on Jacket Sports Weekly. When we come back, we will have softball talk, so don't go anywhere.
You're watching WCTV, where we aim to bring you the best local coverage of what you care about most. Everything from local businesses to hometown sports and the latest weather. We're keeping up to date with what you need to know about issues that affect our campus and our community. We're telling the stories that matter, celebrating our past, our future, and our potential. So tune in for all the latest buzz right here on WCTV Channel 14, Waynesburg.
We are back here on Jacket Sports Weekly to talk about the softball team now with Joe Veneziale. Joe, thank you for joining us here, our producer of Jacket Sports Weekly. For softball, it was the opposite for baseball this past week. They went 3-1. They split a doubleheader versus La Roche. They lost game 1 4-2, but won game 2 9-1, triggering the mercy rule when it ended the game in 6 innings. And then over the weekend, they went up to Teal, and they got the job done, went 2-0 up there, 7-0 shutout for Sydney Wilson in the first game, and then they won 11-4 in the second game via a comeback. Sydney Wilson got credit for both wins, and Joe, unlike the baseball team, this pitching rotation, although it's only 2 of them, they've been killing it to start play here.
I mean, you brought it up in the baseball segment, Tyler, and it's just, if you have a great pitching rotation as your ace and another pitcher behind that can just ride you the whole way, and that's what this Waynesburg softball team is doing, and Sydney Wilson and Autumn Semple are really showing that. Sydney Wilson saving that game as she had pitched a complete game before that in the 6th inning shutout win, and then came back and saved the game, totaling 10 strikeouts on that day versus Teal. And you can't teach that. That's just pure dominance there, Tyler.
Yeah, she was unreal. Like Joe said, went an entire 7 innings in the first game. Stemple started the second game. She pitched 3 1/3, gave up 3 earned runs, had 3 strikeouts and 4 walks. The Jackets found themselves down, and then obviously Sydney Wilson just let her cook. She came in, took over in the second game, pitched a 3 2/3, struck out 3 batters, only walked 1, and gave up 1 earned run. Just, again, unreal stuff from her. But this Jackets team, they do get a lot of help from the bats. And I'll just start off with the note. Ella Brookman, 4 for 4 in game 1 with 3 RBIs. She was 6 for 8 throughout both games and had 4 RBIs in total. It's just Sydney Wilson, whenever she has that support at the plate, it's hard to misstep on the mound.
And this is the team that we've seen last year. I mean, they won the PACs for a reason. A little bit of a slow start as Murder was a little bit up and down from cancellations and postponing to this season as well with John Carroll on the March 23rd, that game being postponed. It's just been a lot of up and down for this Waynesburg softball team, but they found that niche and they found it in PAC play at Teal, and that's what you need to see to go out throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, Damaski also was on fire, 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs in game 2 as well. And they have another break in a non-conference game this Wednesday against Pitt Greensburg at home. But then they have Chatham at home on Thursday, and then they have Mount Aloysius at home on Sunday. So still some PAC games to be played in between those non-conference games. So what is one key for this softball team that, in your mind, they need to do in order to keep this momentum going forward?
I mean, if the pitching is going to be as dominant as it was in this Teal game, it's just going to have to continue on the offensive side with the bats. Ella Brookman going 4 for 4 in that first game, just really setting things off, as well as Reagan Benschoter really coming in through the clutch through in the second game of the doubleheader, hit a 2-run double to make the game 11-4 after 9-4. And that's just what Waynesburg is going to have to do. Keep going on the offensive side and just keep giving Sydney Wilson and Autumn Stemple help so they can just do their dominance, what they do on the mound.
Yeah, this team in the preseason projected to go ahead and be the favorite to win it all again. And in your mind, Joe, after seeing what they did to Teal, do you think that is still on the cards, that they're still the favorite and team to beat in the PAC?
If they keep playing the way that they've been playing, especially the way that they played Teal, they are definitely going to punch their ticket to get to the PAC at least again. If Sydney Wilson, Autumn Stemple, Sydney Wilson did it by herself, genuinely with her other teams, but on the mound, she was pure dominance last year. And now she has another leg in Autumn Stemple to really just elevate their pace of play, and that's what we're showing here. If they can do that in PAC play, Tyler, especially in non-conference with this Pitt-Greensburg game on Wednesday, Pitt-Greensburg has not had a game since March 22nd. So, I mean, kind of beating a dead horse there in Pitt-Greensburg with Waynesburg, but if they can show that dominance there, they can do it in PAC play. They have great things coming ahead.
And one final question for you, Joe. You kind of mentioned it, how last year Sydney Wilson almost did it by herself on the mound. Obviously, Brookman came in to relieve her in a few games, but we would often see her pitch almost 14 innings in double headers. But how important was it for this coaching staff to go out and find another pitcher in Stemple to, play that 1-2 with Wilson on the mound?
Like I said, it's just another leg. It's just an enhancement for this team. I mean, more pitching just creates less runs, and that's what Waynesburg's doing, especially in this first game with the 7-0 victory with the shutout on the mound. I mean, you do that all season. It's just going to create great opportunities, especially if the offense is going to keep going. It's just going to be an easy breeze for this softball team.
All right, thank you, Joe. We'll see if they can keep that momentum and breeze going forward in the upcoming week. Like I said, they have Pitt-Greensburg on Wednesday, Chatham on Thursday, and then Mount Aloysius at home next Sunday. That'll do it for our softball segment here on JSW, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, we will have track and field talk with Meg Berry. Welcome back here on Jacket Sports Weekly. We are going to wrap things up by talking about the men's and women's track and field meet that took place this past weekend with none other than Meg Berry. Meg, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well as well. To start things off, we're just going to talk about the 21 personal bests that happened this weekend. A very good team showing. But first, just highlight some things on the women's side that really impressed you over the weekend.
Yeah, you're definitely right. It was a very good team showing overall with, like you said, the 21 best, simply because I think the weather was so much better this weekend. Despite the fact that we had hit or miss showers, it was 10 times better than the 30 degrees that we competed in at WVU. So getting a chance to have that warm weather really helped us out as a team as a whole. But like you said, on the women's side, Rebecca Dolce got third in shot put. Abby Spear got ninth in triple jump. I myself got first in javelin. Jola Anderson got second in the 300-meter steeplechase and seventh in the 5K. Alyssa King got third in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. Michaela Rose got fifth in the 200. Kat Henderson got seventh in the 200. And on top of that, that was her first time running that event all year between indoor and outdoor. So this was her first time. So to come out and get seventh in her first time, that's super impressive. And on top of that, Grace Toskalski got third in the 5K, and the women's 4x4 team got fourth overall. So it was a really good day on the women's side, and like you said, as a team in general.
Yeah, they finished 6 out of 10, so close to that halfway point. But still, like I said, 21 personal best, which is something that you definitely got to be proud of. So we'll move things over to the men's side now. Just talk about some highlights from the men's meet this past weekend.
So for the men, Tyreek Williams really stepped up. He got 4th overall in the 110 hurdles. That was his second time competing at the collegiate level. And like I said, better weather, no rain, and the sun was shining with 60-degree weather. You tend to have better meets with that type of weather. Adam Helbling took 9th in long jump and 2nd in triple jump. Josh Penalez took 8th in javelin. Cole Thiek took 7th in the 400-meter hurdles. Andrew Casper took 2nd in the 5K, and the men's 4x4 team got 6th, and the men's 4x1 team took 2nd. So just like I said, there was a lot of places on the men's and women's side, and like you had mentioned, Tyler, with those 21 personal bests, that's a great kickoff to the start of the season.
Yeah, the men just finished outside that top half as well, finishing 8th out of 14. Now, Meg, was there anybody that you didn't mention that maybe caught your eye or caught some eyes from the coaching staff?
There was definitely a lot of people that really put their foot forward and tried new events, like Allie and Briscoe. She did javelin. She did it last year, not for every meet. She did it here and there, and she did javelin, and her and I practiced a lot together, and she was super nervous. Her only goal was to make it to finals, and that's exactly what she did. She made it to finals, and she walked away with a personal best. Although she placed 10th overall, she still really had a really good meet, and for being as nervous as she was, she impressed me to go out there and just give it her best. But someone I did already mention, and who has been mentioned a lot on this show, Katherine Henderson. She just amazes me every time that she can go into a meet and do multiple events every single time. It just amazes me. This weekend, she did a mini heptathlon. So like in the indoor season, she did the pentathlon, which is 5 events. But in the outdoor season, the heptathlon is 7, which includes javelin, shot put, the 100-meter hurdles, the 200, the 800, high jump, and long jump. So this weekend, she did like a mini heptathlon. She did 4 events. She did the 100 hurdles, shot put, javelin, and the 200. And she made it to finals for shot put and made it to finals for hurdles. But after running back and forth between javelin and all our other events, she unfortunately wasn't able to compete in the hurdle finals. But she still got, I think, 9th overall, being the fact that she didn't compete, which is still extremely impressive. And it just amazes me every time that she can go out and do as many events as she does.
Yeah, Kat Henderson keeping the momentum going that she had from the indoor season. Now, I know you don't want to talk about it, but we have to mention it. Meg Berry, you got first in the javelin, throwing 34.47 meters. Just talk about the throw, what was going through your mind before it, and obviously how it played out.
So at that point, I was just talking to God, like hoping that it wasn't going to rain anymore, because during warm-ups, and I talked to you before the show, during warm-ups, it rained the entire time, and it was raining like literally sideways. We were soaked from head to toe. It was horrible during warm-ups. So I was just talking to God the whole time, just really hoping that it wasn't going to rain, because throwing in rain or any other conditions like that is just horrible. It makes it hard with a slick runway. But I was really relaxed this past meet, and I think it was due to the weather and it just being nicer and warmer, because by the time we got to throw, the rain stopped and the sun came out. So that was really nice. But overall, I won't lie to you, I was actually kind of disappointed with my throw. Like, I'm never going to be upset with the fact that I placed first. That's always like a big chip on my shoulder. But I was kind of upset with the fact that I didn't throw as far as I wanted to this meet, because this past week at practice, I had a really good week. So I was hoping to translate that into the meet this weekend. But it will happen when it all comes together. And I told you this before, I wasn't really telling people that I got first place at the meet. And my coach was going around like, oh, she got first, she got first. But it did feel good just to get that win under my belt so early in the season. But there's definitely, I still have a lot to improve on and just to get better.
Yeah, and you'll have another chance to do that in this Saturday at the Dave Labor Invitational in Slippery Rock. What is something that maybe we should expect, or the team should expect, going into that event?
So this is a really big meet. It's their alumni meet, so it's what's called an open meet. So open meets, anybody can come and compete from literally any age group. There's been former Olympians that have come and competed before, especially at the WVU Opens, because those are like bigger meets. But alumni come back who have graduated from Slippery Rock, and they come and they compete in these meets. So because it's an open meet and there's so many people that can sign up to compete, it's really competitive. The competition is insane. It's through the roof. And on top of that, there's tons and tons of athletes there. So on like the personal side of things, my goal is to just make it to finals and just get 3 extra throws. But as the team side of things, I think we're more focused on building off these 21 personal bests that we had this weekend and just continuing to add to that list, because at this point in the season, it's time to like start slowly getting better. So when PAX comes around at the end of April, we have that best meet, that best run, that best throw, and that best jump at that meet.
As always, Meg, thank you very much. Big things on the horizon for both the men's and women's track and field team. But that's going to do it for us here on Jacket Sports Weekly. You can check out Jacket Sports Weekly on YouTube and the community cable channel at 7 o'clock p.m. every Tuesday. Have a good one.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.